There's a lot of grace, God's grace. A lot of leniency. As God deals with Pharaoh, you're going to find him send 9 penal plagues. 9 penal plagues. What does penal mean? What does that mean? Actually, he's trying to. It's corrective. He tries to correct 9 times. The last one is a death stroke. I mean, it's over with. That's it. It's finished. That's the final stroke. But there are 9 penal miracles, 3 sets of 3. And they kind of divide it 1, 4, 7, and 9. The 10th is the point of no return. That's the cutoff. Nine calls to repentance and 1 death stroke. And in all reality, even that was mercy shown. A lot of people have asked me why Pharaoh was supposed to be the firstborn. Why didn't God kill Pharaoh? By grace, he did not kill Pharaoh. He should have killed Pharaoh, but he did not. Pharaoh had to be one of the players until the end, didn't he? For God to show his grace and judgment. Even when he did not kill Pharaoh, and the book of Jasher even says that, when he did not kill Pharaoh, that was a merit of grace. 7 and 15. Lek, El, Paro, Ba Bagir, Hene, Yatsi, Ha Mai Imah. We nits sabata. Legrato. El Shafat Hayar. We ha mate Asher Nepak Linahash Tika Biyadika. You go unto Pharaoh and the break of day. In the break of day, or during the break of day, is what it literally says, at daybreak. Why does it say daybreak in that word? What do you get in that word that's daybreak? What is daybreak? Now, your interlinears are not going to be right, by the way, brother.
Yeah.
It's just not right. We copied this. I copied it from an interlinear because the interlinear had the best print. It's got the best print. My Hebrew Bibles, if you look at Hebrew, it's very poor print. Very poor. And they'll just leave out a lot of things, and you'll just see shaded words sometimes, not all of it there. So I have one old interlinear that I use to write my Hebrew from. And as you follow the interlinears, you'll find out the interlinears are not correct. And there's a lot of changing in it. At the break of day, or in the break of day, the word boker is in there. And when you talk about an ox or something, it's a boker. It's something that can break sod, something that can plow, break ground. So this is the break of day. Go to Pharaoh in the break of day, and behold, about to be going out, the waters. And you stand to meet him upon the bank of the river. Now, you're going to find out that many of these miracles were done by the Nile River. Now, the Nile River to the Egyptians was what?
A god.
It's a god. Mm-hmm. It is a segment. It's a part of their life. There by the Nile River. And this is where they would go and bathe every day. The Egyptians were probably the cleanest people in the Middle East at that time. If you go over to Europe, if you've gone to Europe At this same period of time, you would find pigs. I mean, these people were filthy. Some of them never took a bath in their lives. They used perfume to take away some of the stench of their bodies. But the Egyptians were very clean. They bathed every day, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. The Egyptians were clean. They shaved, they cut their hair, they shaved their beards, all of this. And in Europe, they were scraggly looking, long-haired looking, bearded people. But these Egyptians were not like that. A lot of the people in the Middle East, in Palestine, some of them very seldom ever bathed. Only with ceremonial cleansing did they bathe at certain periods of the year. But these Egyptians are very clean. Cleanliness was their godliness as far as they were concerned. Okay? The old saying, cleanliness is next to godliness. Well, cleanliness that was their godliness. They would bathe in the Nile River and be clean. And they would not bathe in the river if the waters were muddied or dirty at all, or stirred up. They would have very special places where there were very sandy areas where they would bathe. And they would take water in their homes. They had fountains. They had baths in their homes. Now God is going to meet them by their God, by their mode of cleanliness, to meet him upon the bank of the stream, is what it literally says in Hebrew, the stream, the flowing water. And the staff, which was turned unto a serpent, okay, word serpent there, the one that was turned unto a serpent. Now, this is Nahash instead of Tanin. When did the staff turn into a serpent?
Serpent or Tanin?
A serpent, not Tanin. One time it turned into a serpent.
Oh, okay.
That was when Moses first. This was when Moses first was met by God, and he threw the rod down, and it became a serpent. The next time when he threw it down in Pharaoh's palace, it became a dragon. Okay, a lot of difference in that. Okay, when it turned into a serpent, you shall take in your hand. You're going to take this symbol of authority in your hand. You're going to take this symbol of authority in your hand. Now, I brought a lot of books with me tonight for a reason. As we study this, in the Bible in 8 Ages, I have one of these. I've been studying this on Sunday morning for 340 classes pretty much. And it's got quite a section on the miracles of God in here and the gods of the Egyptians and all that kind of stuff. There's quite a little bit in this. Have you looked at that yet, brother? Okay. If you want to study this, also, what have I done? Lost it? I must have left it in the house or lost it, one or the other. I had the other book. I had the syllabus for the Bible in 8 Ages, which I have the syllabuses here. And anyway, there's a fill in the blanks in that book. Dakota, did we get everything out of the car? I must have left that. I had 3 of them. Anyway, it had all the different miracles and everything about those miracles, and it goes back to this Bible in 8 Ages book. This is probably the best commentary on the books of Moses that exists. It's Kyle and Delish, and they go into a lot of detail. Well, as you can see, this is only on 5 books of Moses. That's quite a deal. The only thing about this book is because it takes for granted, if you're reading this book, that you can read Greek, and that you can read Hebrew, and that you can probably read Latin, and you can read German. So, large sections of this book are in Latin, Greek, German, and Hebrew. And they expect that you can read this, okay? But if you look around and you can get, there's a lot of words in English, but it does write Hebrew and it writes the Greek. So They expect you to know this. This is beyond the average person. But since you're in this discipleship class, you're studying, there aren't very many people here. There aren't many people got enough guts to try to study Hebrew. Hebrew reading and research. That's a little different. It's a lot easier than they think it is, but they just don't have the guts to do it. It takes tenacity. Well, anyway, as you study this, you can go and you can probably get this online also. If you go online, you can probably look up what Kyle and Delisha have got to say about it. And I don't know what happened to my other book. And of course, Brown, Driver, and Briggs, and Kohler and Baumgartner, Gesenius and Davidson, all of these are cross. Of course, this is cross-reference basically to Brown, Driver, and Briggs, and Kohler and Baumgartner. So there that is. We'll refer to this as we go along in different places. And I have written down the page numbers and of the books and everything in here as we go. 716. We amarta, Elah, Hadavar, Elohi, He Evrim, Shalahani, Elika, Lemor, Shalah, Et Ami, We Avaduni, Ba Midbar, Wehane, Lo Shamata, Ad Ko. Now, Brother Roger, as you've been studying and writing Hebrew, when we went to school, our teachers would say, write your spelling words 10 times or 20 times or 5 times or something. After you have written 1,000 words in Hebrew, it's a little more common to you, isn't it?
I got Moses memorized.
You got Moshe. Moshe is memorized. All right. That's pretty good. That one's pretty good. That's it. All right. I never point Hebrew, very seldom, because I expect you to know it. Pointing is for modern Hebrew. It's for modern Hebrew. When I was studying Greek and Hebrew, we didn't go into that because we know that the vowel signs are something that is much later. It's much later. It wasn't in the original text. All right, 7 and verse 16. 7 and verse 16. Brother Abe, we've got some goodies up there also if you want some. We are Marta, and you shall say, and literally now, this is while consecutive perfect. It is an Akal stem, it's while consecutive perfect. What do we know by while consecutive perfect? And I know you remember that, Sharon. What does this do?
Well, it's talking about the future. It's a prophecy.
It's a prophecy.
Talking about the
All
future
right.
as it's completed already.
Yes, that's right. Now, how we would really translate this correctly, totally correctly, you will have said. Is what it literally says. You will have said unto him. God's looking as if it had already taken place because it's a done deal with God. God knows exactly what Pharaoh is going to do. Did you know that Pharaoh hardened his heart 10 times? 10 times before God started hardening his heart? Pharaoh hardened his own heart 10 times. 9 plagues were penal plagues. They were corrective plagues. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a whole bunch of those Egyptians believed. It worked. It worked. And you shall have said unto him, Jehovah Elohi. All right? Jehovah. Now, I have Ha-the-Bar up there because we don't know how to say that word. That Jehovah came from King James, okay? But we don't know. This Ha-the-Bar. It's the word. The God of the Hebrews, God belonging to the Hebrews. And what does Hebrews mean? You remember what that means?
The guys from the other side of the river.
Yeah, the guys from beyond the river. He has sent me. All right? That's perfect tense also. See that? He has sent me unto you, saying, send away. And that's in PL stem. I mean, I want you to hurry up and send them away. I want you to do it with great force. When I speak to you, I want you to jump. That's what he's saying. I want you to move. And I want you to do it fast, and I want you to do it with great force. Send away my people. That word et ami there. It's the sign of the direct object, of course. Page 8124 in Brown, Driver, and Briggs. Ami is more than my people. Ami means pretty much my family. My family. When you see about Pharaoh talking about his people, it means his family. When you talk about his avad, have you got that one down yet, brother?
Is that like his household servants?
These are his slaves. But Ami, that's his family. His relatives, his people, those that he looks up on as his equals, as blood. And you shall say unto him, Jehovah, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me unto you, saying, send away, shoot out. That word means, that shalak there, that's the root of that. It means send away my people, that they may become my servants. All right? That they may serve me. And that word is slave there. Paul talks about himself in the New Testament as a doulos of God, as a servant, as a bond slave of God. In the wilderness, Bamidbar, in the wilderness, and behold, not, adverb negation, not you have heard until now. You have not listened until now. You're going to start listening to me now. Until is odd. And now is ko. Odd ko. 7:17 now. 7:17. Ko, Amar, Hadavar, Bizot, Tida, Ki, Ani, Hadavar, Hine, Anoki, Make, Ba Mate, Asher, Biyadi, Al, Ha Mayim, Asher, Bayor, We Ne Hefku, Lidam. Have you noticed also how long the verses of Moses are sometimes? They are very long. Sometimes it takes 3 pages for one verse. Thusly, in this manner, ko, has said Jehovah. He has said Jehovah. Look at that. Third person masculine singular, Cal perfect. He has said Jehovah. In this thing, you shall keep on knowing. You shall keep on knowing. Second person masculine singular, Cal imperfect. You shall keep on knowing. I'm going to get your attention. I'm going to keep it. That I, Jehovah, I, Hadavar, the unspeakable name, behold, I am about to be striking with a rod, which in hand upon the waters, al ha-mayim, upon the waters, which in river, I'm going to strike your God. That's what he said. I'm going to strike your God. I'm going to strike your basis of life. I'm going to strike your foundation of all life. The foundation of your religion, which was what? Cleanliness. Your waters are not going to be clean anymore. And they shall be turned into blood. And blood to them was profane. It was profane. 7 and 18. Wiha Dagan, Dagah. Asher, Bayor, Talmut, Yuvaash, Hayor, We Nelu, Mitzrayim, Lishtot, Mayim, Men Hayar. And Dagon. Dagon, that's the root of that word, Dagon. What was Dagon? Who was Dagon?
He was a god for the Philistines.
Yeah, he was a fish god.
Yeah.
He was a fish god. And the fish god, fish are plentiful in the waters, aren't they? So a fish god was a god of fertility and a god of plenty. The god that would provide, okay? The god of plenty. And the fish. Now, here we have the primary god, the river, and then the secondary god, the one that lives in the river. Okay, I'm going to strike both of them. And the fish which is in river, she shall die. She shall keep on dying. Third person feminine singular, cal imperfect. The fish, she shall keep on dying. And shall have stunk. Shall have stunk. And when fish die, when the humans die, they stink.
In Santa Cruz, the anchovies or sardines would come into the little harbor.
Yes.
And they get stuck. And they die. You could smell it for miles.
Yeah. The grunion type little fish?
Yeah.
And they shall have stunk. Third person masculine singular, cal, wow, consecutive perfect. This is the futuristic, what we call a future perfect. Okay? You got that one down now? This is prophetic. See, that's a prophetic. The river, Hayor, the river, and they shall become weary, and they shall become weary Egyptians. To drink, to be drinking water from the river. Cleanliness was an obsession with the Egyptians. Now they're going to have to stay dirty. He's going to take their basic idea of religion away from them. Their god, the river. The fish that was a god in the river is going to die, and it's going to stink. And now, instead of looking up to the gods, they're going to be smelling their gods. Instead of being cleansed by their gods, they're going to be contaminated. They're going to be smelling them they're going to stink. Their gods are going to stink in their nostrils. 7:18. Wyomer. 7:19. Wyomer, Hadavar, El Moshe, Imor, El Aharon, Ka, Matika, Unitai, Yadika, Al, Memi, Mitzrayim, Al, Naharatam. All, ye arihem, we all, og mihem, we all, call, mikwe, memehem, we yehu, dam, we haya, dam, bikal, eretz, mitzrayim, yuba itzim, Yuva Avanim. There's another one of your long verses. And he said and kept on saying, Jehovah. All right? This unspeakable name, this Adonai, this Hashem, this Hadavar. The personal name of God unto Moshe. What does Moses mean? To rescue or to save or to draw out. Literally to draw out. Say, masculine and singular, cal imperative. Say unto Aaron, take your staff, the rod, the symbol of authority, and stretch out your hand. Stretch out your hand. Unete, stretch out Yadika, your hand. The hand of you, all over the waters, the Mimi of Egypt, Mitzrayim. What does Egypt mean? Egypt, what? The land of red mud and canal banks. Over the streams, the water courses. He's talking about, I want you to stretch it out over all the canals, all of the rivers that come out of the Nile, all of the streams, and over the Nile River itself. I'm going to pollute every bit of their tributaries of this large river, and even the underground springs and the flowing wells. There was a red tide many times in the, how many been at the ocean or over to the coast when there's a red tide? Anybody? You know what I'm talking?
Once, yeah.
Okay, so much algae in there, the water turns colors. And in some places it turns red, really red, like almost like blood. There was a red tide many times, but this time only afflicted the Nile, not only the Nile. Usually the Nile would turn red. But all the tributaries going into the Nile, there were little rigs and streams going into the Nile, and there was a lot of canals coming out of the Nile. Now we're going to, all the tributaries, the Nile River, the source, and all the tributaries going to that river are all going to be polluted. They're all going to be polluted with a red tide. Just the Nile was usually affected by this red tide. 7 and verse 20 now. Waya'asu. Ken, Moshe, we Aharon. Now let's stop back here and let's go back and look at some of this stuff. Do you see the shin and the shin and the sin? The shin and the sin? All right. Do you see the difference in the way it sounds? Now the modern Hebrews don't make this difference, but it means something. What is that?
Shin.
Shin. And what is this?
Sin.
Sin. The difference is shin and sin. All right? That's the difference. Shin and sin. One of them is SH, and one of them is S. Okay? This one on this side is S, and that one with the dot above, the little pitchfork up there, is a SH. And so we have both examples here in this one verse. Vayasu ken Moshe we Aharon. Ka Ashur. Now, the modern Hebrews would say Ka Ashur. Is that correct, brother? Mm-hmm. All right. But it is a SH sound, okay? Ka Ashur. And then we have this little word, si, wa. Si, wa. Si, wa. You got a double W in there. Si, wa. Hadabar, wa yarem. Ba, mate. Wayak, ha, mayimeth. Asher, Bayor, Li'aneh, Pero, Yulineh, Avada, Wayehafeku. Call, Hamayim, Asher, Bayor, Ladan. And they kept on doing thus. Moses and Aaron. They kept on doing this, Moses and Aaron. Just as. Now, Ka-ashur, see that, Ka-ashur? What makes up that word? What two Hebrew words make up this word?
Asher is one and Ka is the other.
And Ki is one and Asher. Ki and Asher. Ki, like this. This is it. Ki, and then Asher. Like that. That's the two different words that make up this word. And it's a what we call a compound word. All right? Just as he had commanded Jehovah. And what does Jehovah mean? Remember what that means, Sharon? Jehovah. He who shall become. I want you to keep that in your mind because that's very, very important. No Jehovah Witness would become a Jehovah Witness if they had that name understood. Because where is it fulfilled in the New? Where is this word fulfilled in the New Testament? John 1:14, Kai Hologos Sarx Agenito, and the Word, the Jehovah, flesh, he became. Just like it says, the one who shall become. And he lifted up, and kept on lifting up his staff. He held that staff up, and he kept on holding that staff up. While consecutive imperfect. See that WCI? That's what it means. While consecutive imperfect. He kept on doing it. With a staff. And the staff was what? The symbol of authority. And where did this staff come from, according to the book of Jasher and all of the Babylonian Talmud and every bit of other Jewish history that's down? Where did it come from? From God himself. This was the one that Aaron had doing the miracles here, but it's the one that Moses pulled out of the garden of Jethro, and this is the one that Adam had when God gave it to him, according to those sources. Wayak. And he struck and kept on striking the waters. Et Hamayim. Et Hamayim. Which in river. Before the eyes of Pharaoh. And before the eyes of his slaves. See that one? The Avadah, his slaves. And was turned and kept on being turned all the waters. Call is all, remember? All Hamayim. Hamayim. All of the waters which in river. Literally it's whiches. That's a little particle of relation right there on page 81. But it means it's actually whiches in river to red. Lidam, to red. Or to blood. The color of blood. We hadaga. Asher. Baryor. Mita. Yebash. Hayar, Willow, Yakilu, Mitzrayim, Lishtot, Mayim, Men, Hayor, Wahi, Hadam, Bikal, Eretz, Mitzrayim. And the fish gods. Dagon. That's what that word comes from, Dagon. Is the root. And the fish. And remember, they worshiping this fish, the Dagon, the fish god, which is in river. And she died. Third person feminine singular, cal perfect. And she died. She had died. And he kept on stinking the river. The river he kept on stinking. And not we lo, that's we is the conjunction and lo is the adverb of negation. And not they had been able, the Egyptians, to drink waters from the river. Neither could they bathe in it either, could they? Now they got dirty water. Wahi. And he became the blood in all the land of Egypt. And he became blood in all of the land of Egypt. Blood is a staining source. It is a source that you don't want to get on your white clothes, do you? It stains and keeps on staining. Wayaasu, Ken, Chatumi, Mithraim. This is 722. Bilatehim, Wayichazak, Lev, Pero, Wilo, Shama, Aliham, Ka'eshur, Deber, Hadavar. And they kept on doing thusly, the scribes, the engravers. These word scribes here. Literally, these were the ones that wrote the holy words. the holy words. These are the ones that wrote. These were the priestly scribes. These were the ones that were doing all the writings of concerning the rules of their religion. Okay? The engravers is what it literally is, the engravers. What it doesn't say, it just says scribes in that interlinear, doesn't it? What this is literally the engravers. These are the people that engraved all the tombs. These are the engravers. These are religious scholars. All of the engravers and writings and the priestly scribes of Egypt. And then it says, in their secret arts. Bilatihim. The word lot is in there. Lot. Say lot. Lot is how you say it in Hebrew, is lot. Lot. Lot means dark and hidden. The name Lot. You know Lot and his daughters? Lot that went into Sodom. All right? In their secret hidden arts. And kept on becoming strong. Kept on bestronging strong the heart of Pharaoh. The heart of Pharaoh. What does it mean? Was his heart hard? What was this talking about? The heart, when you talk about the heart of a man, that means the source of his being, doesn't it? Not really the thing that's pumping blood around there, but his will become very strong. His will was becoming very strong. When somebody hears the Word of God either softens their heart or it hardens their heart. And this man, 10 times, Pharaoh's hardened his heart. 10 times. And his heart kept on becoming strong and hard. The heart of Pharaoh. The man in the big house. That's what Pharaoh means. Willow and not he did listen or obey. Not he had listened or obeyed unto them, just as he had spoken. Look at that word. Third person masculine singular. PL, perfect. He had spoken Jehovah. The bar. God prophesied this was going to happen, didn't he? Future perfect. He said this is what's going to happen. He told Moses that in front of the burning bush, didn't he? All right. Wayifem. Pero. Wayavu. El. Bito. Wilo. Shot. Libo. Gam. Lazot. And he kept on turning, Pharaoh. I have that written down there, he turned, but literally it's in perfect tense. You can translate it, he turned, but a more perfect translation was, he kept on turning, Pharaoh. And he went and kept on going unto his house. He just kept on doing this. He didn't come back out and say, guys, I've changed my mind. He went to his house and stayed there. And he wouldn't come out. All right? He turned away, and he stayed turned away, and he went, and he kept on going unto his house. And not he did direct his heart. He, look at this word. Third person masculine singular. Cal, perfect. Not he did set his heart. Who's doing this? Is God doing this to Pharaoh, or is Pharaoh doing it to himself? Pharaoh kept on being stubborn. These words didn't faze him at all. This miracle, this penal miracle, this corrective miracle did not affect him at all. Now we have Egyptians looking for clean water with an obsession. They were clean freaks, and they wanted clean water to bathe in and wash their hands. Waya Peru. Call. Mitzrayim. Sevivot. Hayor. Mayim. Lishtot. Ki. Lo. Yakilu, Lishtol, Mimimi. That's a lot of mimi in that, isn't it? Hayor. And they kept on digging, the Egyptians. All the Egyptians. I can see I made a mistake there. Not and, but all. All Egyptians. Around about Sevivot. Around about the river. Now they're going to go out there. If you can do this, by the way. What does sand and gravel do to water? It filters and purifies it. If you go out there to a stream of water, and the water may be pretty dirty, but if you get out there a foot or two away from it, or even 5 foot away, and start digging a deep hole out there, you know what happens? That hole is going to fill up. It's going to have clean water in it, because the water is going to be filtered through all that dirt and everything. It's going to be like going down to Home Depot and buying a filter and putting it in your faucet. It's going to have to go through filter material, and that gravel and dirt is filter material. Okay? They used to say that you could go upstream in a stream, and if you saw a dead cow laying in the stream of water, and that happened a lot, by the way. You find a dead animal, a dead cow, 150 feet downstream, it would be purified. The water would be purified. Running over the rocks and everything would purify the water in that length of time. And they kept on digging, all the Egyptians, around about the river water. They wanted to have something to drink. For not, they had been able, and that's perfect, third person plural, cal perfect, not they had been able to drink from waters of the stream or the river. 7:25. See, we almost ran out tonight, haven't we? From where we were. Wayimale, Shavat, Yamim, Achare, Hakot, Hadavar, Et, Hayor, and they were completed. They kept on being completed 7 days. Look at that third person masculine singular, Niphael, wow, consecutive and perfect. It kept on being that way. After 7 days, 7 is a number of what in the Bible?
Perfection.
7 is a number of perfection or completion. 7 days, Achadre, after the striking of Jehovah the rivers. God struck the rivers. It wasn't Moses so much using the rod or Aaron using the rod that really changed the water into blood, but it was Jehovah himself. That miracle was from Jehovah. And by the way, also, right here in some of the Hebrew texts, now instead of going 7:26, we're going to go to 8:1. That's why I have it down there, okay? The text, the verses change. The verses are not inspired, by the way. The verses are not inspired. But the different texts have different words. And in the original Hebrew scriptures, there were no verses. It was just all there, the whole book. Okay? It's written down and broken down in verses and chapters for you, so you can find something easier. All right? That's all. 7:26 or 8:1. Wayomer, Hadabar, El Moshe, Bo, El, Paro, We are Marta, Elah, Ko, Amar, Hadavar, Shalah, Et, Ami, We Ya Avdani. And he said and kept on saying, Jehovah unto Moses. He kept on repeating this. Jehovah unto Moses, go. Unto Pharaoh. You go. Masculine, singular, cal, imperative. You go. Unto Pharaoh. And you will have said, this is future perfect. You will have said. God's saying exactly what's going to happen. Now I say, and you will say here, that's what most of the translations, but literally it says, you will have said. You will have said unto him thus, or thusly. He has said, Jehovah, send away. I want you to do this in a hurry. This is the PL stem, which is a stem of what? You remember what PL stem is? It's a stem of force and action. It is the Hebrew stem of immediate power and force. I want you to shoot them away. This word here, when you pull a bow back real far, and you pull the bow back and let her fly, that's what this PL stem is. I was up there at the Film Museum the other day, and they were talking about this man had a bow that was like 400 years old. It was an Indian bow that was 400 years old. And this movie star was entertaining a director. And the movie star had this bow that was 400 years old. And I don't know whether it was Meyer or who it was, but they had a kid. And the kid came back there and pulled the bow, and the bow snapped and broke. This 400-year-old bow. And the guy said, well, I guess that one pulled it, went back the last time it was going to pull. Didn't say anything because that's his boss, you know. He could find him another 400-year-old bow maybe, but not. This is a big shot. All right? That's the force. The shot of an arrow. Send away, shoot away my people, my family. Now, in some texts, it's the first verse of chapter 8, okay, of Exodus. Shoot away my people, that they may serve me, that they may be subservient to me, that they may become my slaves. When you look at God, everything under God is a servant. All angels, all spirits, all men should be servants to God. Now, some have chosen not to do, haven't they? And God is, we don't understand God until you look at all the doctrines. Even the doctrine of hell is necessary before you can understand the person of God. When we study God, we understand God by mercy and by grace and by love. God is love. But God's not going to put up with a lot of things. He sent 9 penal plagues against Egypt and against Pharaoh. The last one was a death stroke. Now, all of that's necessary to understand who God is, doesn't it? This is why we've got all this in the book. God could have done this in history and never recorded it at all. But it's for our instruction, isn't it? For our instruction so we can understand who God is. Have you ever talked to somebody about being saved? And they said tomorrow, the next day, or next week, or I'm not interested. I'm going to tell you something. One of these days they're going to be imperatively interested. But it's going to be too late maybe. God sent these plagues. And God kept trying to reach Pharaoh's heart. Did he not? He was honestly trying to reach. These are God. Pharaoh was hardening his heart. He knew what Pharaoh was going to do. But he was allowing Pharaoh to do it. God picked out Judas Iscariot. Not to damn him. That wasn't right. He didn't pick him out to damn him. He picked him out to display to us the futility of the human mind. What kind of a person was Judas Iscariot? What kind of person was he? You can, in one word, you can say it. He what?
He was a zealot, wasn't
He was a zealot. Yeah, he was a religious.
Greedy?
He was greedy. And when you're greedy, you're a thief. and he stole from the church. He stole from the church. The church was in existence, and he stole from it. He was a treasurer, and he kept pilfering. He kept embezzling money from the church offering. 727. Here we go. Now we're going to have us another jumping, dancing plague. We'em, ma'en, ata, li shalia, hene, anoki, nagef, et, kal, gevuleka, bats far diim. All right. And if you keep on refusing to shoot away my people, behold, I am about to be striking. I'm going to be striking. Et, sign of the direct object, actions going that way, all of your territory, all of your boundaries. Now remember, how many languages, according to the book of Jasher, did Joseph have to know to be ruler over all the lands of Egypt? How many languages did he have to know?
Was it like 60 or
70 languages. There's 70 different languages around that land. 70 languages. And for Joseph, and there were 70 steps up to the throne of Pharaoh. And if a man went down to Pharaoh, or came to Pharaoh, and he was up on this stairway, is at the top of the stairway, if a man only knew his own language, Pharaoh would have to come down to him. But if he was a man of much learning, he would go up to how many steps? And now this is ancient history, the Babylonian Talmud and the book of Jasher, he would have to get up for every step, he'd have to recite something in a language of the lands. And he'd just keep on climbing the steps, and he'd have to keep on reciting different languages and answering questions in those languages. Finally, if he was fluent in all those languages, he could walk right up to the throne of Pharaoh and bow down to the throne. Joseph did that. Now, in the book of Jasher, do you remember who taught Joseph those 70 languages? Jehovah himself. Jehovah himself came and taught Joseph those 70 languages. And the next day when he went up there, he was going to be ruler over all of Egypt. And to be ruler over all of Egypt, he had to know all the languages of the people. So now here, all of the territories, all of the boundaries, covers about 70 different people. In frogs. Now the word in Greek is batrakois. All right? It means, batrakois means a scratching sound. If you put a frog in a carton or a box up there, you will hear him scratching, won't you? And frogs dig holes. And they scratch in dirt, and they dig holes. I've always, this fox out here, he picked me out to be a sucker. That's all I can say. They know how to pick somebody that's a sucker. And so all the time he'll come sashaying around looking for me to give him some cat food. And at home, I have some welfare frogs. I do. They're toads, actually, is what they are. Out there in the shop, I have a crock bowl that's about that big around and about that deep, and I keep cat food in there. And there's a little a little kitty door in the cut inside of that shop, and in there on top of this milk crate, and you know how milk crates are got crisscrosses on them. This is made out of plastic. But on top of that thing, there is a crock with this cat food in it. You can go out there in the summertime, and these frogs have climbed that crate, believe it or not, and got in there and are sitting in there is filled completely full of cat food. And they get so fat, they can hardly climb down. And they just go splot. They're so full. It means a tearing sound. And in Hebrew, it means to leap or to dance, to cheep, to whisper, to chirp, to scratch, to croak. In Gesenius, on page 717, it means to whisper or croak. The croaking of a dead person. The croaking of a dead person. Now, why they call it the croaking of a dead person? Brother Roger, you've been around dead people, haven't you? Have you ever moved their bodies?
No.
Did they make sounds?
The air escaping.
Yeah. Yeah, they make croaking sounds, and their voice box still works and everything, and air is going in and out of the lungs, so they go, you know, that's what they sound like when you're moving them. That's a pretty creepy thing, but this is where it's coming from, okay? It means to whisper or croak, and it means to try, and the people back then, they thought that a dead person was trying to communicate with them. And of course, we have conjurers, don't we? Conjurers, people that try to talk to the dead, and they will get messages from the dead, and of course this is all demonic. This is not of God. Almost every one of these people that will get on television, or you go to these, the psalmist, or whatever you want to do, these seances, mediums, all of this is demonic. If they have a message from any person that has been dead, it's because some demon knew them and they are speaking through them, and it's demonic. That person is not communicating with you at all. You're not going to get any communication with those people. And people are victims to this, because when you lose somebody that you love so much, wouldn't you like to hear from them from beyond? You miss them so much, you want to hear from them, so they take advantage of that. And frogs have been like a messenger to these people. It was like a messenger to the world of the dead. I remember, none of you are old, well, except Roger maybe. Roger, you're all about my age, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I lived in the 1940s and 50s. And they used to have tent revivals. They were not really tent revivals. They were more like sideshows. You know what I'm talking about? A. Allen, Oral Roberts. These people would come out here to Bakersfield. Over there at the fairgrounds. They would go over there at the fairgrounds, and they would set up these great big tents, and you could go out there and be entertained. You know, television, only rich people had television at that time, and radios and stuff like this. And they even would broadcast this over radio. And they broadcast it over the local radios, so you could go and listen to your radio and put your hand on the radio. Put your hand on the radio. Put your hand on the television. And you will be healed. And they would have their demon casting sessions. And guess what would be coming out of these people? Frogs. Frogs. They picked up on an old legend or idea from all the way back in, that the frogs were bad or something. They had they were messengers from beyond the grave. Let's go on in verse 28, and we'll stop right here. Wisharats Hayor Safardiim Wialu Avau Bivatika Yuva Chadar Mishchavika Wial Mitztatika Yuvevet Avadika Uvi Amika Uvita Nereka UV Misharotika. Now, these are clean people. Remember, these are very clean people. They're not used to having anything pollute their food stuff. They were very particular about their food stuff. Brother Abe, don't take off tonight before you get your handout that goes in your interlinear. It's right up there. You can go up there and get one where it says binders up there. Look in there and take that, and that goes right in your book. That's the next little volume of it. And he shall have become swarms. Here we have that while consecutive perfect, third person masculine singular, while consecutive perfect. And he shall have become swarms, the river, frogs, the whispers, the cheepers, the dancers. You know, frogs jump around like they dance. Remember that story that Mark Twain wrote, Samuel Clemens wrote about the frog contest, the jumping frogs? The frogs, the dancers, the whispers, the cheepers, the growlers, the croakers. And they shall have gone up, again future perfect, and they shall have gone up and entered and have entered into your houses and into your bedrooms. Dakota, you're going to get to sleep with a frog if you're in Egypt at this time. And your bed. They're going to be in your toilets and in your bed. They're going to be in the toilet and in the bed. And upon your couch and in your house and into the house of your servants and upon your family and in your fire pots, your ovens. You won't be able to light an oven without a frog being in there. And in your kneading vessels. They're going to be even in the kitchen vessels that you cook your food with. Nothing's going to be clean. Nothing is going to be clean from this time on. All right. We went from 7:15 to 7:29. We covered quite a few verses tonight. 7:15 to 7:29. Do you have any questions? Sharon, do you have any questions?
I was just thinking, I mean, I know the frogs, they discussed with the Egyptians, but I just think God has a great sense of humor. I mean,
Oh, God
can you
has
imagine, every time you turn around, frogs jumping out at
Yes.
you? I mean, it would be kind of awful to go through.
God
It's
has a
kinda
real
funny.
sense of humor. He created a porcupine. He created skunks. And he created these frogs. And these frogs, these were a very clean people. He dirtied up the basis of the religion, which now they couldn't get clean. And then after that, they are very, very particular with their food, very particular with their bedding, very particular with their clothing. Their clothing, they most of the time wore white clothes. White, which is a symbol of cleanliness. And now everything turned to blood. Every one of their clothes were not white anymore already. Now, I want you to know that. Every clothes was stained with blood. It had stains on it. They were no longer pure white. And now their food is not pure either. Even their kitchens are full of frogs. Frogs. Now, frogs eat everything. Did you know that? They eat everything. They're omnivorous. How many of you knew that? How many of you ever been frog hunting?
Oh, yeah.
You been frog hunting?
Gig 'em.
Yeah, great frog gigging, frog hunting. I used to go out on the river and frog hunt frog, gig frogs, and we had frogs that were that big. There were some big ones, gigantic. They had legs like turkeys, some of them. You have frog legs. Now, when you get a big frog, you not only can cook the legs, but you can cook the whole back and everything else because it's got a lot of meat on it. Little frogs, the frog legs. I remember one time I had Brother Travis Hubbard, Dr. Travis Hubbard, come and speak for me when I was pastoring. And he loved frog legs. He loved frog legs. And I had gone frog gigging out to the river. And I got these frog legs. And I cooked frog legs for him. And boy, did he love those. I mean, he ate more than twice as much as he normally eats with these frog legs. And they were some young and tender ones there. Those big ones are tougher, you know. Anyway, he got up there and he started out there in the middle of the room and he kept hopping like this. And he hopped all the way up to the pulpit. And then he said, I guess you wonder what's wrong with me. Well, he says, I ate frog legs today. And he said, that's the first time I ate frog legs since I got married to my wife in Arkansas. We went to this hotel and had frog legs. Anyway, he liked that. Now, when you go out there and you catch frogs, when you clean the frogs, be ready for anything. You might find crawdads, fish, snakes, anything. I have cut frogs open and they had snakes in them that long. And crawdads. And you'd say, crawdads? And fish and bugs, all kinds of stuff. They eat everything. Anything that moves, they eat it. This is, swallow it down. Well, these are the frogs. I don't know whether these are edible frogs or not. Some people say they're not. They've got names for the different kind of frog. That book there, Kyle and Delisle, tells you all about the frogs. Brother Martin Kahneman preached a sermon, which we're going to get to in a little bit, One More Night with the Frogs. He talked about these frogs. Well, these frogs were spiritually they were kind of like a go-between. They were looked upon as somewhat of a god between the worlds. But it was dark, the darkness, the croaking of a dead person. That's what they realized and the frogs were a communicant between the dead world. Can you imagine now, with all these frogs around, there's a lot of dead people involved here. Like a big graveyard. You know, when Israel left Egypt, they hollered and screamed and hollered and cursed and pestered Moses, and they said, wasn't there enough graves in Egypt that you had to bring us out here and bury us? Egypt is a land of it's a graveyard. All its graves and mummies all over the place. Every place you turn, there's a mummy and a grave in Egypt because it's an old place of old occupation. And every one of these is a communicant from the dark side from the underworld, croaking. Maybe that's Uncle George there trying to tell me something. All over this. Any other questions? Pam, you got any questions tonight? Abe, you got any questions? You're awful quiet back there. Did you get your deal? Got it. All right. Well, let's have a word of prayer, and I'll turn you loose on the world. Go out and do something eternal. Brother Roger, you want to come up here and dismiss us in prayer, brother? Sure. Next week, we're going to have to get into the new volume.
Father, thank you for your grace. We have done nothing to merit it, and you have provided everything in your plan, and you provided it from the very beginning. That just is overwhelming to me, and I so appreciate it. Thank you for bringing us here this evening so that we could hear your word and have it explained to us. Guide us and direct us as we apply it this week. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So